And now we're going to look at how the wizard captures the rent. And so the first thing we want to look at here on the right-hand side of the screen, the first check mark here you would look at, this would be if you have a lease, you don't own the building, but you just have a normal lease, and the lease would be already captured in the P&L. The next one down would be if you own the building and you need to normalize the rent. This is a really good example, and if we look over at the P&L for Dr. Jenkins and Rivera, you can see in the line item under rent that the rent is $145,000. That rent at $145,000 would equal about 9% of the total P&L, which would be very high. The number that we'd probably really be looking for to normalize the rent would be closer to 5%. So what we would be looking at doing over here, if we click on this box right here, as you can see, the current rent on the P&L is showing up as $145,000. In this case, the owner of the building is actually overpaying themselves at 9%. And so to normalize this moving forward, we're going to have to drop the rent down. And we found that the normal rent price should be for this building should be approximately $80,000, which is showing up here. And that would be the market rate, which would be about 5% of the P&L or the revenues for this practice. And in getting that, you can see that we basically normalized the total rent adjustment by $65,000. Then we would hit next and continue. So in the last selection that we have for rent on here, this would be the case whenever the owner of the building hasn't paid themselves any rent at all, or it doesn't show up on the P&L at all. We would then go ahead and click next, and then you would need to add in whatever the estimated market rent would be. And in this case, we decided that $80,000 would have been the amount. This would have been if there would have been no rent. And you can see over here there was $145,000, but we're saying a case scenario where there was no rent on the P&L. You would have to add the rent in as what it would be, and then you can see there'll be a rent normalization adjustment of a negative $80,000, and then you would click next. And this concludes our tutorial on rent and the rent adjustments for the wizard.